Before we dive into bind, call, and apply methods, I would like to talk about this keyword. In other programming languages, this keyword always refers to the current instance of the class, but in JavaScript, the value of this depends on how a function is called. There are some basic rules to remember. In JavaScript, this always refers to an object. This refers to an object which calls the function it contains. In global context, this refers either window object or is undefined if the strict mode is used. Now let's see this keyword in example. I'm going to create a car object, car equal to an object. The properties are going to be registration number, for example TX1234, and we have brand, for example Toyota, and the method display details. Here in the method we have, it will take a function. The function will console.log this dot registration number plus this dot brand. Now let's call this method car dot display details. Okay, here we have the registration number and the brand. This works perfectly fine, but what if we borrow this method? Let's create a variable called my car details. My car details, and it will borrow the method from the object car display details. Now let's call my car details. My car details. It says undefined and undefined because this now refers to the global context. In the global context, we don't have the registration number and brand that only exist in the car object. To solve this problem, we need to use the bind method. So now I'm going to say car.displayDetails.bind car. What the bind will do here, it will create a new function and then it will set this to the parameter. In the parameter we have the car object. It will set this to the car object. Now let's call our function again. It works perfectly fine now. What if we have a parameter in our method? Let's say owner name. Hello plus owner name we can also put that parameter which is in the method in our bind method. Let's say John. Now let's run the function. It says hello John, the registration number is, and the brand name is Toyota. Okay, so this works fine. We can also have our method outside the object. So let's get the method, put it outside the object, and make it a function. And the function name is display details. Okay, here we don't need the object. And now let's run the function. It will give us the same result. So what it will do, it will bind the function display details to the object of car. Now that we understand about the bind method, let's talk about the call and apply methods. The call and apply methods is also the same, like it works like bind. The only difference is that in the call and apply, the function execute immediately, but in the bind we can call our function anywhere in our code. So here we have our function my car details. We can call it anywhere in our code. So for example, here we have codes and then we can call it anywhere we want, but the call method and the apply method, it will execute immediately. So now let's convert this to the call in apply method. I change this to call, and then as soon as I run the code, the function is executed immediately. So the call and apply will not create a new function, and it will execute immediately. And apply is also same like call. The only difference is that we will have in the bracket. So in the bracket we have our parameters. So now I put this apply, and let's run it. It will run perfectly fine. So the difference with the apply and call is that the apply will take the parameter in the bracket. We can also have more parameters here. For example, owner name, last name, owner name plus last name, and here we put the last name, for example Smith. Here it works fine. Hello John Smith. The registration number is TX1234 and the brand is Toyota. Okay, so the bind will create a new function, and then it will set that this to the parameter which we have here, for example the car object. And the call in apply methods, it will also behave same like the bind, but it will execute the function immediately. So we cannot use our call or bind later on. So when we use the call or apply, it will execute immediately. This was all about the call, apply and bind. Thank you very much for watching.